Welcome to the 130th episode of the Bald Avenger Show. I am Jason Sisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger, the purveyor of all things common sense, the tattooed guru, the king of the Misfit Nation, and a legend, baby, a legend in my own mind. Those of you that are first-time watchers, you're just going to have to go back and figure out that we all think that, I think everybody should be a legend in their own mind. Because if not, what are you doing with your life, baby? That's what I got to say. So we're going to have some fun tonight. We're also going to get, those of you that know this series know that we went through some these phases, right, as we go through this thing. The world blew up. Everybody was like, what the hell is going on? And those of us that decided to lead just basically came in and decided that we're going to add some calm and some, everything's going to be okay kind of energy. And then it shifted into another mode, which was where people were sort of starting to, question things. And then those people were getting attacked by the people that are more intelligent than everybody else out there. Right. And so then we got in defense mode and we just started saying, hey, look, there's no reason to bully people because they may have a question or may have another belief. Right. It's like your kids have a question. It's not like you're going to beat them up and go, you're so stupid. You're so stupid for asking a question. It's not how we treat people. It's not how we treat our kids. Why would we treat anybody else like that? Right. And then we shifted into massive action because I think whatever camp you happen to be in, we realized that there is going to be another side of this. We started out knowing that there's going to be another side of this, but it's looking like that is getting sooner and sooner and sooner and closer and closer and closer. So that's what this series is about. It's about when we get on the other side of this, how do you set yourself up for success? Last Sunday was the very first show that we did in this series. And it was basically how to prepare yourself for your post-COVID comeback, right? Your post-COVID comeback. And this applies to some people. Some people are doing well. Some people are thriving in this environment. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that were thrown off. Right? They were just thrown off the horse that they thought that they were riding and bonked their head on the ground. Now they're looking for people out there that are, that there's a couple of different camps, right? When you fall off a horse and you bump your head, you're wandering around looking for help. You have multiple places. You got, somebody that may want to take advantage of you while you're in that mode. Like, hey, sign this. Hey, do this, do that. And you're like, okay, I'll follow over this. So whoever you attach to when you bumped your head, that's where you start to go. And then there's other people that go, oh my God, I want to take care of you. I want to protect you. I want to get you to the hospital. I want you to be able to be taken care of. And they have zero intentions of anything to gain from you. Right. But those were the two camps that I think that have been fighting both for attention. Cause this threw a lot of people for a loop. Not to the least, a bunch of influencers that were out there that had their shtick going. And then a bunch of them, poof, went away. And then a bunch of them, a few of them tried to pivot. And some of them pivoted towards the dark side where they're like, okay, I'm going to use this opportunity to scare the shit out of people and then gain market share that way. And then the people that were kind of adding calm and saying, hey, look, this is just another thing. Those of us that have been through trauma, and a lot of Misfit Nation has, right? Those of us that have been through trauma, we know and understand that this kind of stuff it happens all the time. Right? There's always a disruption in our peace. And those of us that have been through trauma know that because we've been through it sometimes multiple times, right? Whether that's PTSD, whether that's domestic violence, whatever trauma you've had a loss in your life, you've had sickness in your life, you've had cancer, you've had a heart attack, you've been to prison, you've done all these types of things. It's just that life is one big series of upsetting your peace and us having to reset our approach to the life that we thought we were living. Okay. And so I wanted to start out with just kind of setting the table, because I'm setting the table as things shift week to week, right? Week to week. And so I'm setting the table week to week. I've got a series of to-dos, like things that we can do to better position ourselves for success on the other side of this. And it starts like it, again, I said it started back when they very first started shutting stuff down. I'm like, now's the time, now's the time, now's the time, now's the time. Every day that goes by, every hour that goes by, now is the time for you to take action. Now is the time for you to take action in whatever it is that you want to do, right? But I wanted to start out by letting you know that this concept, right? The place that you may be right now is you're like, we need to open the country camp, or we need to keep the country shut down camp, or, this was all a bunch of bullshit, and this is not bullshit. It could have killed millions of people. Like there's all of these camps out there, and I don't really care which one you're in. It's irrelevant to me because it's your life. But what I do want to do is I want to set context to these conversations that we're having, right? And then when you have context, then you can do more with information, right? Whether it's mine, whether it's somebody else's, doesn't really matter, but you can, when you have proper context. And so every week I'm going to start the show with a little bit of context, setting the plate for where I believe we are and how we should be, another way, not how we should be, because then that's me imposing my belief system on you. But what I'm saying is another option of how we set things, right? Another way to view things, because perspectives and thing that makes us beautiful as human beings, we can weigh multiple things in our mind, combine them, pick one, whatever it is that's going to be the best for us in our life. And this show is specifically for you, the person who's watching this screen right now, for you to be able to advance, to be able to modify your behavior so that you have a better life, so that your family has a better fighting chance, so that the issues and the things that we take seriously, which are success, right? Success means that not that you haven't failed, not even that you haven't failed today, but you have a place that you're going that is going to ease suffering in the world. That's the only definition that I have of success. There are broke people that are easing suffering in the world, and there are rich people that are easing suffering in the world. There's everything in between. All of the entire spectrum are filled with assholes too, right? So this world that I've built here is for us to those of us, doesn't matter political party, color, gender, sexual preference, doesn't matter. If you are committed to easing suffering, then we are family, baby. And that is what Misfit Nation is all about. Those of you new to Misfit Nation, welcome, 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 welcome. We have our own page. You should be signed up on that. It's free. There's no selling that goes on. There's no BS that goes on. It's just a bunch of human beings that have screwed up in life. And we are doing our best to figure out, right, how we're going to navigate this world and use our pain for good in the future. That's it. Okay. Join, don't join, whatever. You're missing out. So here's a perspective that I wanted to lay out for you of where I believe that we've gotten to. Okay. And those of you've seen me, everybody that's watching, everybody that knows me has seen me at war with people who are fear mongers. I will always, 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 always fight bullies. Okay. I will especially fight bullies that are doing it for financial or political or power or whatever it is. I was raised by a bully. I know all of the tactics. I know all of the tricks, and they're being used by certain perspectives on both sides of the argument. Okay. And there's bullying that's going on. And those tactics are never long-term successful for you to have a successful life. And in that successful life means you're happy. It means that you have some center to you, some joy, right? You're easing suffering, but you're also making progress yourself in your finances, your body, your relationships, your personal joy, and in your own mindset, right? And so let me set this context for you, because it'll color the direction that I want to go with this week's show. And I want you to look at this like, let's break it down, right? We've got the people that are, you got to stay home, you got to stay locked up. And if you don't, you're going to kill elderly. You don't care about people. You're just stupid, right? You're just a stupid, ignorant person, and blah, 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 blah. And then you got the other side that are like, this is all a hoax and it's stupid, and you're stupid for believing all of the numbers that have been wrong, and blah, 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 blah. And so we have people, right, that are trying to add their own certainty. We talked a little bit about this last week, but I'm not going to go back to that. You can go watch that show if you want to, hint, okay? But at the end of the day, you have people in general, the 330 million people that are in this country, the 7+ billion people that are in the world, that are like, whoa, we all collectively got hit in the face, y'all. Like we all collectively got knocked off of our horse, whatever horse it was that you were riding. We got knocked off at the same time, walking around dazed and confused. And some people like, oh, everybody's dazed and confused, I'm going to go in and take an advantage of them, blah, 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 blah. Those people still exist. But what I'm talking about is people that genuinely are concerned on the health side, not to take advantage or for a political perspective or to gain or garner audience or to manipulate or do anything like that. There's most of the people on the side that we should stay in our houses and whatnot are genuinely concerned for a reason, right? And a lot of those people in that camp have had the shit scared out of them from experts that took that trust and took this time to take advantage of them. And I'm very angry at those people. Okay. Very angry, but that's okay. That's not what this show's about. But there's that slice of people that believe that that's the best approach. Now, on the other side, you have not the far like conspiracy theory type scenarios, but you do have a slice of people that are like, look, you got to look at this and look at the economy and understand. You can go back. You may have bad data over there, but you have good data on when economies crash, cancer rates, heart rate, heart disease, death in general. There's a huge curve that shows, right? You call flatten the curve over here. These people are like, we got to flatten the curve of the job losses because that's a precursor, right? Over here, a precursor is a sore throat, a fever, a cough, blah, 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 blah. And that's a precursor to you knowing that you've got a problem. And over here, the precursor on the economy side is job loss, alcohol and consumption going up, suicide rates going up, da-da-da. Like there's precursors to a huge death toll or body count on the economy being bad. It's not just about money. It's about people wanting and knowing and being able to read a book of history and going, I know the data that came out of 2008, 2009. I know the data that came out of every major crash, the Depression, all the way back in the 20s, right? 1920s. So both camps, there are reasonable people on both camps that have gotten a political hook in them that says to us, that has convinced us in that hook that you've got to attack the other side, right? If you're on this side, you're at war with these people. Let me put it to you this way to set context, and then we're going to get into the 7 things that we can do as Misfit Nation to be successful as we get to the other side of this, right? And so that context that I want to set is this. I want to go back to World War II. Okay, again, you got to read a history book to understand this stuff and to understand perspective. But let's go back to World War II, right? You had the Allies, and then you had the Axis, and you had, essentially, let's just say it was the Allies basically against Germany. There was some Japan and a few other countries that were involved there. But what you had was, imagine this scenario, because you have the free world that's watching totalitarianism sort of march across the land. Think of that as the virus, right? It's marching across the land. And you had people that are like, okay, they got over this place, they got past this place, they got past, and then the world started to take notice that this guy wanted to completely 100% have everybody speaking German and have them be a certain ethnicity, white with blonde hair and blue eyes, right? That was the goal. And everybody else was either subservient or dead. So that was kind of a virus. It was a virus that was going around the world. And you had a couple of different camps. Should we go at them? Should we appease them? Should we do? There's all of the same stuff. History repeats itself over and over and over again. So we look at this and think about this. Both equations that we're talking about here in America are fighting against an unseen virus. We're fighting against, over here, the actual virus, and over here, the unseen virus that we need to flatten the curve of job loss and alcoholism and all the other things that go along with a failed economy or a difficult one. So we're actually all fighting the same war. We've got this thing, this virus that is causing the jobless claims, and it's also causing death in our elderly and our immune suppressed. So both things, like we're fighting against the same thing because the root cause of it is causing both things to happen. Now, we could get into the political games that are being played. That should be obvious to all of you, that the political games, but I'm talking about the virus itself, all right? It has caused an upheaval in people's health, which is really happening, and it's causing an upheaval in joblessness. Both things are true. Now, can you imagine if both things were true? We go, you've got, let's just take France, the United States, and England. And France, United States, and England, we all get together and we say, you know what? France comes to the table and they go, ha ha. That's as much French as I'm going to get. Ha ha. The only way that we can beat the Germans is by breaking their German code. If we can all go in there and figure out their German code and we can break the code, then at that point in time, we win the war, right? And England goes, we need to interrupt their supply chains. Like, that's the only thing we should do. France, you, America, all of the allies, we need to come together and we need to get in there and we need to just attack their supply chains. And that's the only way, right? And America comes in and they go, really what we think is that the only way to win this war is to kill Hitler, right? Nothing else. We shouldn't do anything else. We should just kill Hitler. And everybody starts, fighting with each other. And they're like, France is like, oh, you stupid over there. Like, I'm trying to do accents, but you're stupid, England. You're stupid, America, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, and then America's going, you're stupid, France. And, England's going, you're stupid, America and France. And what would have happened? We'd all be speaking fucking German right now if that was the case. They called them allies for a reason, because they identified the enemy and then took multiple fronts of attack to beat it. Okay? And that's not what you're getting from our political leaders. And I say leaders by almost laughing out loud, because leaders, they form an ally, a group of allies together to beat the damn thing. And right now, what you've got what would have happened back in World War II if they were acting like, just here in America, how much you people are hating on each other and how much bullshit that's going back and forth with each other when both things are true. We have a virus that caused an upheaval. It scared people over here that may be sick or have people that they love that are sick or vulnerable to it. And you have people over here that are losing jobs by the millions because of that thing over there, the same exact thing. And so to set context in this thing, stop fucking fighting with each other. Stop buying into the political biases on both sides and start using your fucking brain to be able to think for yourself and to be able to understand that we can do both. Right? We can do both. And in order to do that, you have to get control. Like the basis for how you do that is last week's show. And I'm not going to revisit it. But at the end of the day, the context has to be, we are all fighting the same battle. And you absolutely cannot win this battle by all being over here and locking yourself away and being afraid of a virus. You can't do it. Okay. You also can't do it by putting everybody back out there in the world and not doing something to protect your elderly and your immune compromised, and putting massive amounts of energy and effort and brain power behind coming up with some sort of a therapy or whatever to be able to beat it. Because guess what? There's multiple things. I'm not going to go into it because you guys can find out about herd immunity and how that works. And you can find out about all of the other stuff. You have an opinion on it. The reason why I even brought the subject up tonight was because you have to set context. And the sooner that the two sides stop fighting with each other, we can beat the fucking Nazis, right? We could beat them. That's what happens. You cannot have a disjointed country who's fighting each other because if one of those drugs works or one of those therapy works, Donald Trump gets some credit. Oh my God. Right. And you can't be over there going, this shit is just not real. And then it's your grandma or your daughter or your husband or your wife that gets it and gets in trouble. Right. You got to look at this like from multiple different angles and understand we're all fighting the same thing. So there's literally, it's narrowing, filtering that. And I've watched it happen on on social media, is that literally, if you're a Democrat, for the most part, you believe everything that's coming out of the government. And if you're a Trump supporter, you believe that nothing that they've been saying is out. And I know that there's a bunch of exceptions, but for this particular virus to break down along political lines shows the absolute fucking stupidity of the people who are buying into those two camps. Okay. You know, if Democrats were like, oh, pro, you know, again, it's Democratic side. If they said that Hitler was good, right, and Trump said that they were bad, then there would be this war right now, right? And it's just gotten to a place of stupidity. It's gotten to a place of idiocy, and it's absolutely, it's absolutely of no help to those of us out here that have families, that have people that may be affected or impacted by the virus, and that have people, and including you that are watching, that have lost jobs. Like, I mean, I was invited to speak to a group of fairly high level business owners today to lead a discussion and to give my opinion on what we should do and the things that were coming and so on and so forth, which was really great. It was kind of a run through for tonight's show. And you have people that have 1,000 employees that overnight had to furlough them, you know, and you have people that had their entire life tied up in training people that now they can't come into their gym. You are watching the absolute destruction of over 50% of our economy right now. Okay. You're watching that happen in front of our face, and you have a whole bunch of people go over here going, it can fall apart, and we're not going to, oh, well, but at least we won't all die from this thing. And then you have, anyway, I'm not going to keep doing the side to side thing, because at this point in time, you either hate me or you have an open mind, and you can weigh two things in your mind to compare them at the same time. So that's the context that I wanted to set, is that if 50% small businesses account for 50% of the economy in this country, right? A little bit more, I believe. And then you have big businesses. And if you care about economic separation, if you even wonder about the gap between the rich and the poor, and the only jobs that we have when we go back that you can go back to and really don't have to follow any of the rules that everybody else is having to follow, but you have the Amazons, you have the Walmarts, you're going to have people that are leaving $40 an hour jobs to go take one for 12. And you don't think the income equality gap is going to completely decimate the middle class, that's hanging on by their freaking fingernails right now? You don't think it's going to decimate that when they're like, oh, we have 100,000 jobs available. Yeah, well, shove your fucking job up your ass. When I was, running a law firm, or when I was running this, or when I was running that, or I had my own business, I had my own choices, and I was able to eke out, $100,000 a year, or $200,000 a year, or $300,000 a year, or what it was. And now what you want to offer me is a $12 an hour job because you're the only ones that can afford to lobby fucking Washington to be able to stay open. I get essential versus non-essential, not the conversation that I'm having. This is a bigger fight. Okay. It's a bigger fight. And before you know it, there's going to be a radically different America that we come back to, unless all of us, right? It's the inmates. The inmates control the fucking prison. Always. They could, but they're beat down. Like, if you think about the psychology in a prison, they're beat down to be treated like animals, so that when somebody snaps their finger, they show up in line, and they have to do those. There's a reason why they beat down people's psychology in prison, and you get into human trafficking, right? They beat down these little girls. They beat down these little boys so that they think of themselves as lower than other people. And the other thing is, small business people, which is the giant engine that runs this country, are afraid that if they do the wrong thing, that they're going to get beat down, right? That they're going to get beat down because there's not a coalition. Yeah, Small Business Administration and you've got the chambers of commerce and all this other kind of shit. But at the end of the day, there's not very many people that are protecting that furniture store or that gym or that whatever. There's not that many people that are representing them. because they're too busy running 50% of the fucking economy and not having time to bitch and complain and moan and attack other people. Right? So you want to be a warrior for somebody right now. You want to step up for somebody that's got a huge curve that needs to be flattened. It's the small business person. It's the person who just lost their job, right? Those people that are wondering if there's going to be a job to come back to. It's those restaurants. It's 50% of the economic engine of this country, more than that, is under attack right now. And so you can protect and fight against a virus medically, and at the same time fight for these businesses to be able to open and for them to be able to continue to run. Okay. And that's my message tonight. I wanted to set the table. I wanted to set the context. You don't have to be on one side or the other, because at the end of the day, you're going to shoot a hole on their side of the boat, and the boat's going to fucking sink anyway. Again, the death toll from a failed economy will stagger you, right? Will stagger you. 17.5 million people, I think it's 1,800 people a day die from heart disease. Nobody says a fucking word. And guess what? That's preventable for the most part. Preventable. How you eat, how you think, the amount of stress that you put yourself under, how much sleep you get. Those things that are choices, it's sort of a preventable thing. And at the end of the day, we're just sitting around. The reason why we're getting hammered so much stuff, right? Why we're getting hammered by so many things is because we just said, fuck it to our health in this country. We just said, fuck it. McDonald's is fine. You know, sodas are fine. Drinking too much is fine. Smoking too much is fine. It's all fine. We're Americans. We can live through anything. Hey, except for a virus that attacks weak immune systems that are beat down by all of those things. Which, when you get these fear mongers and the bullies that come in, at the end of the day, that's exactly what they were adding to your fear going up, stress levels, taxing your immune system. Whew. So, So here's what we're going to do. We're going to move on to the solution portion of the Bald Avenger show. So thank you for listening to that. The context has to be set that we can fight both sides, and the one on that side is not my enemy, and the one on that side is not my enemy, unless they are causing suffering and being bullies. Okay, I'll go toe to toe with any damn bully out there about any subject. I don't really care. So here we go. Here's the 7 things that I put down. That now this is more towards the financial, right? Last week I just said here's a set of things that you can do to start to prepare yourself for a comeback. Okay. I highly recommend, and I'm going to send my team back and we'll stack, because I'm just going to keep stacking on the shows. So if you get 3 or 4 in, they're all going to be valuable in and of themselves, but they're going to be kind of stacking together like a solid Lego thing, so that when you get 7 weeks out from now or so, you're going to have a complete, beautiful picture that's going to be solid, right? It's going to be solid. So this is step 2. And I want you to start thinking about your finances. And this is for anybody that had a job, that has a job, that had a business, or has a business. That's what these things are for. Now, first things first, I want you, and you can take notes on this. I promise I'll have my team put together something nice and snazzy and fancy and blah, 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 blah. But the very first thing that you have to do, I don't want to jump ahead. I want to keep this on the list that I put together. Okay. So first things first, realize that the environment has changed. Okay. Realize that the environment has changed. Whether you have a job, have a business, had a business, whatever it is, realize that the environment in front of you has changed, right? It is part of getting past the normalcy bias in psychology that tells you when you've been in a car accident, or you've been attacked, or whatever it is, that your brain is sitting there telling you, this isn't happening, this isn't happening, this isn't happening. This shit has happened. It is happening, and you need to get your head in the game, right? Realize the environment has changed. And as an entrepreneur, here's the thing. As an entrepreneur, there's multiple things that we're going to get into, but as an entrepreneur, or somebody that's had a job, right? Think about this for a second. Your environment has constantly changed. You've gotten new jobs. You've had new bosses. You've had companies that have gone out of business. You've owned business companies that have gone out of business. You've had to completely retool things. You went from having this workforce to millennials. You went from this. The environment is always changing, right? It's your level of fear that you have allowed to seep into your psychology that is affecting your ability to be able to react quickly to it, or you're falling back into complacency because things were so good for so long that you got your ass lazy, and this thing kind of took you and just flapped you on your face, right? So number one, realize that the environment has changed. Now, the other thing that along with that, you want to have systems put in place. So once you realize that it's changed, you want to start the process. Those of you that have been through my 12-week course, it's called Growth, How to Master Your Business G-Spot, right? You know that there is power in sequence. There is power in sequence. And when you understand the sequence, now you can scale up, scale down. You can react very quickly to your environment. If you've just been doing things by the seat of your pants, you're going to have a rough time. The people that I was talking to on the phone today, everybody that's called me for advice, the people that didn't have a plan or have a system in place and that were just going by the next sale, the next sale, the next sale, the next sale are really hurting right now. Okay. Really hurting. And those people, Dan Fulkerson from Fulkerson, Bada Fulkerson law firm in San Diego. They brought us in again. Like I sold all my businesses, not because I knew this was coming, but it was an accident of time. Thank God I did. Now, at the end of the day, Bada Fulkerson brought my company, Anton J, in to do a full deep dive of their company, a full restructure right before all of this happened. And he's telling me, Jason, those systems and processes that we put in place are the thing that saved us. We got Cheryl Snap Connor, one of the greatest PR minds in the country. They called me up and thanked me. Jason, thank you for having those processes and procedures in place, because we're not only going to weather this storm, but thank God we're going to actually come out of it a little bit better because of the work that you do in process and procedure, right? If you need help with that, we can help you. If you're good at it and you're just being lazy, get to work, right? Get to work. So number two, okay, so the first one is realize the environment has changed, and process and procedure, start thinking about how you're going to get out of this, right? Number two, psychology. You have to have your psychology in place, right? And this is what we talked a little bit last week, but your psychology has to be in place so that you got, I mean, look, a lot of people are like, Jason, how do you get rid of fear in uncertain times? Shit, you just have to. It's not a choice. You have to figure out physiology, focus, language, emotion multiplied, right? Multiplied by intensity and repetition. Like that's how you get over anything that you're feeling that is interrupting your ability to properly face the day-to-day stressors of life. And whether you want to make this a mountain or whether you want to make this just another hurdle is up to you. It's your psychology. It's not what Donald Trump says or what Nancy Pelosi says. It's up to you how you're going to view it. And then how you address it, that's your psychology, right? Think about it this way. If you wanted to look at this, you go, look, 98% or 93%, let's say there's conflicting numbers, but 93% of businesses are out of business within the first 10 years anyway. Okay. So you look at that and you go, some of this is naturally occurring. There's some weak businesses out there that should have been put out of business, which for the stronger companies that right now are teetering, when they come back, you're going to be able to pick up those other customers. You're going to be able to pick up that other business if you're ready. If your head is in the game right now and you're ready to start picking those up, right? If you're an employee, right? And you're looking at this from a certain place and you go, oh my God, there's going to be 30% unemployment. No, there's going to be 70% employment, and I'm going to change my psychology and get my ass in gear and add some different strategies and education and knowledge base so that when this thing opens back up, I'm the one that they hire back, not the one that they go, we did pretty well without you, and I think we could continue doing well without you. That the days, look, it's in some ways this is a good thing because a lot of people have been walking around going, the business owner has been sucked dry by insurance companies and by lawsuits and by regulations and by rules and all this kind of stuff, and by the taxes, the owner's taxes that we get, because we're producers, right? We're producers, and they're just like a straw going in every different direction from every different direction for entrepreneurs all over the place, because we're too busy to fight back. Right? We're like, fuck, okay, another regulation. I'll figure out how to modify. Oh, this happening. Oh, I'll figure out a way to modify. Oh, this happened. You want more taxes? Okay, I'll have to figure out a way to modify. Okay, blah, blah, blah. We're modifying fucking machines, right? We're modifying machines. And at the end of the day, we got to have our psychology in place that we're going to be the ones that come back stronger. And I'm telling you, our 12-week course has been selling like freaking, I don't market it even very much, but those people that have gone through it are telling other people, this is the thing that you need to be able to get through this and to be intelligent and to be able to improve your shit, right? We got people lined up for days now for deep dives, starting at the end of May and moving on to the end of the year, right? It's busier than ever. We're certifying right now. We're looking for 10. We've got 7 or so strategists. And I was never going to really expand or grow Anton J beyond where it is. And right now we're going to be training 10 new strategists because of all of the new people that we've got coming in. Why? Because we know what the fuck we're talking about. Right? And I don't need to advertise. There's not been any advertising done. So anyway, psychology, complacency. Okay. Here's the thing. Complacency. Number 2, I'm still in psychology. I said 98% of businesses or 93% of business are out of business in somewhere between 5 and 10 years anyway. So get that through your head. Don't be freaking out about the amount of people that are going out of business now. It's going to come back. Those businesses, if we fight for the country that we all want to live in, small business will thrive as we get through this. Okay. Now, the one thing I want you to be in psychology, that you have a lot of people that are out there trying to pat you on the butt. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I was doing that in the very beginning of all of this, and pat you on the butt and everything's going to be okay, blah, 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 blah. But now patting you on the butt is doing you a disservice. You need to be punched in the face with the idea that your complacency is why you weren't fucking prepared in the first place, and why you won't be prepared when this thing comes back, or you won't be prepared for the job that's going to be open, or the business that you want to open, or the business that you have to continue to thrive. Complacency means that you're going to sit back and you're going to take the opinions of other people that are trying to scare you and put you back in your place, rather than being on the offense, right? Defense wins games, but offense scores points. And there's a time to be defensive and there's a time to be offensive. And right now, that is the time to be on the offense in setting strategy for what you're going to do as this country opens up, because the process has begun. Now you'll miss it and you'll go, oh my God, I could have done this back in the day and I didn't because I was just sitting around scared. I listened to all the bullshit fear mongers, blah, blah, blah. Right? So complacency, that's number 3. Complacency is the business owner and the employee's virus. That's number 3. Complacency is the employee and the business owner's virus. Okay? That's what you got to get rid of. Take another little sippy here. Number 4. Take small actions each day with the intent to gauge feedback. Okay? Again, if you're overwhelmed, you're worthless. You have to take small actions, right? Small actions. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to go on a walk. I'm going to do push-ups. I'm going to eat a green salad. I'm going to turn off all the news. I'm going to small progress, right? If you own a business, you're going to be like, okay, who are my customers, right? Who are my customers? What can I be doing to talk to them right now? Regardless, don't be trying to sell them shit, but just be reaching out going, how are you? How are your family? Let them know that they're not just another number, which is what most small businesses treat people as. They're just another number. You're not reaching out. You're not helping them. You're not having conversations with them. Here's what we're going to do. Here's our plan. If you need anything from our company, we bought some extra toilet paper. We have some masks for you here. We have those business owners that are doing that right now and serving their clients in times when the clients can't come into their business or can't buy their product or are afraid or whatever it is. You are a leader, not just for profit. Okay. You're not a leader just for profit. You're a leader when you serve your community, when you serve your fellow man, when you give to somebody without the expectation in return. That's prostitution. If the only time you serve somebody is when you expect to get a sale out of it, then you don't deserve to be in business. You don't deserve to have a job. If the only time that you're like, well, if you pay me more money, then I will do more work. Do more work and earn that shit. And if they don't see your value, somebody else will, like me, right? And so take small actions each day with the intent. Sorry, guys, I haven't been on stage in a while, so I've got some pent up demand going on in here, if you can't tell. So take small actions each day with the intent to gauge feedback. Don't be married to your approach. Highlight that, write it down. Do not be married to your approach. Be married to your outcome. Okay? Don't be married. Just know your outcome and then do small things each day and say, did those small things get me closer to or further away? Right? Inside the 12-week course, there's an entire program that will be able to help you gauge things. We built it out. I had to do this. This is how I built my companies and how we do what we do, right? Number 5, strengthen. You're going to love this, okay? Strengthen your business. I hope you're writing this stuff down. Strengthen your business or your job comorbidities. There's a word everybody knows now, right? Comorbidities means if you have heart disease, if you have diabetes, if you have cancer, if you have anything that has damaged your immune system, this virus has a really, really good chance of doing more damage to you, okay? We've been walking around in our businesses and with our jobs with a whole bunch of underlying comorbidities. Jason, what are those comorbidities? Well, guess what? I just happened to write some of them down. Okay, here's a business comorbidity or a job comorbidity. One, shitty service. You know, you're out there and you're giving shitty service, but guess what? There's so many customers. There's so much money floating around. You didn't really need to spend any time on your service, did you? Did you? No. Okay. How about a shitty product? Oh, your product was, it was okay. You were selling just enough to get by, right? You were selling just enough to get by. Your product was it's mediocre or whatever it is, but I'm making $100,000 a month or I'm making $20,000 a month. It's paying my bills. Why would I want to have a really spectacular world-class product when I'm getting by with what I have? That's a comorbidity. Not knowing your numbers. Okay. There's so many of you that are out there that run businesses, small businesses, and you don't know your numbers. That is a comorbidity. That is something that will always pre-exist before you go out of business or even when you lose your job. Not knowing the numbers of your business when you have a job, how you can help, how you're participating, how you're adding to the bottom line, how you're reducing the expenses or how you're adding new businesses, right? At the end of the day, that's a comorbidity, not knowing your numbers. Another one, bad culture. I'll just treat my employees like shit. It's okay. I'm just going to walk around like big shit and I'm going to treat my employees like shit and blah, 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 blah. That's a comorbidity of your business. Spending beyond your means. There's always a line of credit. There's always another credit card. There's always next month when we're going to make more sales, right? Spending beyond your means is also a comorbidity. Now, the last comorbidity that I'm going to name is not having a strategy. Because look, for the longest time, with the greatest economy on the face of the planet, right? At the end of the day, we've been wandering around like the world fucking owes us something. Wake up. It doesn't owe you shit. It didn't owe you shit. And it's kind of laughing in your face right now going, what do I owe you, bitch? Right? What do I owe you? That's what life is saying to us. It's like all of us people that got into this place of the world owes me something and that tomorrow is always going to equal what yesterday was and I'm always going to be okay. Guess what? It's a slap in the face. Those of you that have been through trauma know this to be true because you went through it by yourself. And now we're just collectively, as I said in the beginning of this, we all collectively got punched in the face. That's your comorbidities. That's number 5. Number 6, figure out how to install certainty and safety. This is important. And I'm going to bring my temperature down just a little bit. but figure out how to install certainty and safety in your clients to inspire them to come back sooner. Okay. And this came out of our meeting today that was very important. I had another number 6 here and I changed it after our meeting. And this is what it was, right? Figure out, and you should be writing this shit down. If you're not, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. You're probably just going to expect the world to snap back to where it was kissing your ass. All right. So figure out how to install certainty and safety in your clients to inspire them to come back sooner. Right now, let me address this from my perspective. Those of you that know, right. No, those of you that know me know that I don't give a shit. I'm laying my reputation online to fight against what I think is a tilting towards totalitarianism, right? I feel it. People are just giving up their fucking freedoms. Like their ancestors didn't die for them to have the freedom to go outside of their own fucking door if they decided to go face down a disease if they wanted to die from it themselves. Oh, but Jason, it infects other people and it kills other people. Well, so what you're doing is you're basically saying you're taking away their rights. Now, at the end of the day, if that's the world that we're going to live in, I'm going to go down with my dying fucking breath fighting against it, because my grandfather and my great-grandfather and my great-grandfather before him, all of those people fought for us to be able to sit in here in this country and make stupid fucking decisions for ourselves, right? If they didn't, there would be a law against eating McDonald's too much. There'd be a law against fucking drinking and drinking your liver to death, right? There would be all of these laws that were basically totalitarianism, which means that there's somebody out there that has more power, more influence, and a better bloodline that is smarter than you, that can tell you how to live your life. That's not the world I'm going to live in. I will not fucking live in it. Right? I'm not going to, and I know a bunch of other people that won't either. So that is the way that I look at this. And I forget that at the end of the day, there's people that have businesses that if they open up and they take the strong position that I just did, it will cost them business. And I don't recommend that. I just happen to not care anymore. I don't have to care, right? Which is what makes me a good voice for y'all to be able to get out what you've been wanting to say. But at the end of the day, if you're a business owner and you have 100 clients and 50% of them think this was nothing and 50% of them think this is something, and you on this side of the equation, you go, we're just going to open up and fuck the law and blah, 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 and you do that, you're going to lose this 50% of your business. If you're over here and you're going, we're not going to open until there's been absolutely zero deaths, these people are going to leave you too. There's a way to balance that how to open your business. And by adding cleanliness, and one of the great things that was suggested, and Carl Steadman is the one that's going to be doing this for people on a video and a product basis, is to shoot a video of your business with your employees with their masks on, with the screens up, with the gloves on, and let them see you operating in that mode. Right? See you operating in that mode, and shoot little videos and let them know, right? Shoot little videos or Facebook posts or emails or texts or whatever it is to let your customer base know you're not taking a position. Look, monetarily, you should keep your mouth shut, right? It's just like all of these famous people, right? If they want to be an actor, be an actor. If they want to be an activist, be an activist. And so know your own world, right? There's also people that look at this going, I don't give a shit. I'm fighting for my freedom. I'm going to open up, Katie barred the door. If I lose people, they weren't my customers in the first place. And I understand that, because that's the stance that I've taken in my business, is that I know that the words that I say, the words that I put on a piece of paper, my opinion has not been very fucking popular. And I've had people that have unfollowed me. I've gotten hate mail. I've gotten death wishes. I've gotten all of the shit because I just said, look, question it, right? Question it. If you get shamed because you have an opinion, then that person has just automatically decided that they're going to fucking side with the Nazis, right? You can have an argument. If your argument can't stand without beating down the integrity or attacking the character of the person, you're shit lost, if you can't intellectually battle it out with your ideas, and you have to fall into name calling, and you're a Trump supporter, you're an idiot, you're a fascist, you're this, if you have to fall into that camp, then your argument has lost. So if you're a business owner, you have to be conscious of this. You have to be conscious of the fact that you have people that buy from you on both sides. And it's up to you. Look, if you want to take the upset the apple cart, I certainly have, but I don't suggest that for everybody. I can, right? And maybe you can't. And I don't want you to put your family or their earnings or the roof over their head at risk, but the founding fathers did. They put everything on their line. They lost their lives in a lot of instances. They lost their homes. They lost their wealth. They lost their standing. These people sacrificed everything for what we lived under prior to February 29th, what we lived under prior to that, for us to just go, fuck it, here. Their sacrifice meant nothing. I'm doing my best, y'all, to remain center, because I want to give good advice here, right? Make the right call for you and your family. And if that call happens to be that you're going to fight back, and that you're willing to lose your business, and you're willing to be attacked by all of these, knowledgeable experts and all the other bullshit, right? That fine. But if you're somebody that wants to play it down the middle, because you care about your family and you want to keep a roof over your head and you want to do all that kind of stuff, fine. That's great too. I don't hold it against anybody for how you choose to live this life. This is just number 6, right? Figure out how to install certainty or safety in your clients, so that they feel really comfortable coming back to work with you. Okay. Number 7, determine your strategy for 3 occurrences. We talked a little bit about this last week. I want to go into it a little bit deeper, and then we're done. Okay. Determine your strategy for 3 occurrences. A snapback in the economy, which means that there's going to be a rush of people that are going to come back into the economy, back to work. And some companies will be gone, which means that those companies that were able to weather the storm are going to have a rush of clientele, and that crushes business more often. More business than they can handle crushes a business faster than not having enough business at all. Okay. So you're going to want to be prepared for a V sort of snapback. The other thing that you want to prepare for is that longer curve, something that you could go back and view from 2008, 2009, do your historical numbers, see how quickly things came back, in what order they came back, because that is a possibility. And then the third one is for a full-on depression. Now, full-on depressions, there's different numbers and they're gauged by different things, but a full-on depression, if we start to get to 35% unemployment, that's depression level numbers. And there's all kinds of other things that are going to happen because of that, right? And so you want to sit down unemotionally, and you want to develop, what are your resources? What am I going to do in this scenario, in the V-shaped snapback? What am I going to do in a longer curve? What am I going to do? And in a depression, what am I going to do? And then for all 3 of those, I suggest having 3 pivot points. Okay. 3 pivot points. 3 pivot points are this. Let's say we got a V-shaped snapback. Okay. And we realize, okay, my business is going to be fine. What that existed before, and it's going to snap back. But you want to have pivots put in place, like faster onboarding, better customer outreach, having your customer service in place, building out right now a very strong referral program, those type of things. What are your pivots going to be where you were weak in your business before? Have 3 pivots that you're going to be ready to make if it's a V-shaped recovery. Now, if it's longer term and your business fades away or it doesn't come back, or you can't rescue it in time, have 3 other pivots, other companies that you could start, right? And I've got examples of those all around me, because people that listen to me have been listening to me since fucking February 29th about what to do during this deal, okay? And part of this is having to shift to something else. I can't tell you how many of my clients, my friends, the people that depend on me, that have pivoted to doing something completely opposite that they were doing before this, and they're now crushing it. Why? Because they weren't sitting there sucking on the tit of the fear mongers going, death count, murder, we've never seen these kinds of lungs and scare tactics and boo, be scared, right? They weren't doing that. They were sitting around looking for what they could do about it. And they pivoted, and now they're crushing it. So have 3 pivots in place for a longer curve recovery. Also, when you're doing your strategy and you're sitting there when you're thinking time, have 3 strategies for a depression, 3 pivots for a depression. What are you going to do? And do it unemotionally. Don't sit around scared, for crying out loud. If you're like, I don't know what I would do in a depression, go read a book, right? Go watch a video about what happened in the depression before, what companies thrived, right? There's more small businesses being started right now than in any time in history. We're watching it happen. Now, I don't know if that's half of it is because people think that they're idiotically think that if they start a company, they're going to get some of the PPP money. It's not. If you're out there thinking about doing that, it's stupid. Don't do it. But I also think that there's another side of this, which means that I'm going to have a business. My company's done. I'm going to take my destiny into my own hands. And that, I believe, is why we're selling so many 12-week courses, right? And why people are doing the education and they're putting themselves in a place to win by not just mine, right? Just forget about it for a second, right? I only say that because it's the best program that the world has ever seen for the small to mid-sized company or somebody that's thinking about starting up a company. But hey, I'm biased. So that's where I'm going to wrap it up. Those were the 7 steps. And remember, if you stack them with last week, then great, right? We talked last week about having your ore in your hands, right? If I'm gonna die, that ore is gonna be in my hands, not somebody that I gave it to because I was afraid that I couldn't stand up. If I fall in the water, look, I'm just one of those people, and I know that a lot of Misfit Nation is like this, that no matter what happens, it's going to be because of my stupid mistakes or my bravery. One of the two. It's going to be because of that. And I take full responsibility for every mistake I've ever made in my entire life. Any pain I've caused, any pain that I've had, I've taken responsibility for my health. I've taken responsibility for my family. I've taken responsibility for my employees. I've taken responsibility for my clients. I've taken responsibility for little girls and little boys that are out there that nobody's looking for, to let them know that somebody's looking for them. People that are starving in the world. I've taken responsibility to do the best I can financially to make sure that as few people go to bed without a meal in their stomach as possible. I've taken responsibility for domestic violence and making sure that these women have a voice and they have a place to go and that they have a way back from that. I have on and on and on and on. Personal responsibility is a fucking great drug, right? It's a great drug because it depends on you, depends on your actions. It draws on every single cell of innovation and capability and mindset and heart and desire and bravery. It pulls on all of those strings for you to have to show the fuck up. If you're not living that life and you've decided to hand it over to somebody else, then guess what? You're getting weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And that's where people want you so that they can fucking control you, right? That's where they want you so that they control you. They want you weak. They want you dependent. And all I'm saying to you is don't be that person. If you are strong, then stand up. If you are weak, then stand up. Do some curls. Your muscles get bigger, right? Read a book. Your mind gets stronger. Hug a person. Your heart and your integrity, maybe not your integrity, but your compassion grows. Serve someone that's doing worse than you, and you will understand how well you actually have it. Misfit Nation, now is the time to fight. Not against each other, It's a time for us to fight for togetherness, for us to fight for other people's businesses, for us to fight for our own job, for us to fight for our families, for us to stand up, for us to do what's right in the face of where other people that are doing shit wrong are being rewarded for fear fucking mongering and bullying. Stand up and do what's right, even if it costs you followers, even if it costs you business, even if it costs you dollars. Stand up and take a stand, and do not go softly into that good night. I love you all. Peace. See you next Sunday.